Hello everyone, I'm welcome to GoldenNova's First Reacts, where I react first to all the things you want to see reacted to first, as long as I'm the first person you come to react to things first. This time I thought I'd be a little behind the 8 ball on this one, considering the Alistair stuff just came out a little while ago, but we've just got a new Witchcrafter drop as part of the trio of tunes, Witchcrafters and Unchained. Still haven't seen that last one, but we're going to see some wicked spellcasters right now, and then we'll move through all the other cards that we've missed reacting to. There's a lot of Singletons, but that's why we didn't do them for a while. I don't know, I can't just get the energy to do some for singles, and then if they keep bringing out singles, then do I just cover that one randomly and then cover the rest of them? I don't know. We're here now. Let's talk about some Witchcrafter, starting with Terra Cotton, a level 2 Earth spellcaster with 0 attack and 2000 defense. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. First, if this card is in your hand, you can target a Witchcrafter card in your graveyard, accept a copy of this card, add it to your hand, and if you do, special summon this card. Also, you can't special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn, except Witchcrafter monsters. Ooh, okay. They're going to be a pretty dedicated deck then now if we're only summoning Witchcrafters from the extra. So far we only have Vice Madame, right? So, yeah, better be some good stuff. Secondly, during your main phase, you can fusion summon a Witchcrafter monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field. Okay, so at least it is a polymerization. Get a card back, it's on the board, you can do fusion stuff. We can get any of our spell cards back quicker than waiting for their end phase triggers, or we can just get like a monster or something. So this is pretty good. If we're making a dedicated deck, I'd like to see more of these. Witchcrafter Madame Rilliona, a level 8 light spellcaster fusion monster with 3800 attack and 2800 defense, requiring Madame Vare specifically and 2 spellcaster monsters. Okay. All right. I think I'm sold. I think I have a new deck to play. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. First, if this card is fusion summoned, you can special summon up to 3 level 7 or lower Witchcrafter monsters with different attributes from each other from your hand and or deck. Also, you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except fusion monsters. And during your end phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can reveal a spell card in your hand to special summon this card in defense position. Okay, so Madame Vare is level 8, so we can't bring her back. But if we fusion summon this, we get 3 other Witchcrafters to go along with her. And then this card can come back during each of your end phases if you have a spell available. Which, you know, if you have other Witchcrafters, you'll get a spell back, reveal it. 2800 is the lower of the stats, but still pretty high. And then you just swap it to attack position during your turn, and this thing is going to crush things. Wow, this is strong. The issue is that we have to rely just exactly on what the Witchcrafters can do because we're locked into fusion monsters only. So we could fuse again, we could make Vice Madame, which is pretty cool, but we're not doing anything else with those monsters except what's printed on them, and the Witchcrafters are not... I wouldn't call them explosively powerful. Let's see what else we got here. Witchcrafter Celebration, a quick play spell card. You can only use one of the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn, and you can only activate and only once per turn. So first, you can activate one of these effects: either destroy a Witchcrafter monster you control and one card your opponent controls, or fusion summon a Witchcrafter monster from your extra deck by shuffling spellcaster monsters from your grave and/or banishment into the deck. Great way to fusion summon. I love using material that has already run its course to make new stuff, especially with things that require more than 2 material. And second, during the end phase, if this card is in your graveyard and you control a Witchcrafter monster, you can add this card to your hand. The basic Witchcrafter spell card effect. It makes sense that they can't be used during the same turn. That's how they all work. Well, so they're having a gay old time. Witchcrafter Walpurgis. Oh, that's cute. Very Kiki's delivery service going on here. They're going on a trip. And it's a field spell. Ooh, okay, so that's been locked up. Any excuse not to run a secret village of the spellcasters is fine by me. You can only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn. First effect, during your main phase, you can add a Witchcrafter monster from your deck to your hand, then discard a card. Great. If you have a spell card, that's a Witchcrafter one, you can discard. During your turn, if you would discard a card to activate the effect of a Witchcrafter monster you control, you can send a Witchcrafter spell or trap card from your deck to the graveyard and instead accept a copy of this card. That's pretty good. So we are skipping the cost by foolish burialing our spells and getting them into rotation. And because we didn't use them, well, I guess we'd be discarding them anyway, so we wouldn't be using them. But this would get them back into our hand during the end phase, so we get to use their effects. That's pretty saucy. I do enjoy that. And our last one right now is Witchcraft Distortion. Whoa, what's it? What's going on with this art? Is this her turn? I've really got to catch up with the freaking Magistus Magical Nation manga or something. I know they've explained why they're leapfrogs between different ages, but okay. Counter trap card. Witchcrafter Distortion, counter trap card. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. First, when a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated while you control a level 5 or higher Witchcrafter monster, we got out of the big ones, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. So that is our Omni Negate if we have a big Witchcrafter. Second, if this card is in your graveyard, except the turn that it was sent there, you can banish it to add a level 5 or higher spellcaster monster from your deck to your hand, then discard a card. So a little bit of filtering there. These cards are pretty good. We have Recursion Infusing in Terracotta. We have a Fusion Monster Boss. I still think Vice Madame is still the strongest card out of all of them, purely because of the advantage that it can get you. But it's undeniable that this can deal some damage because it's 38 by itself. You get 3 other big Witchcrafters. You're doing stuff with that. Celebration is a fusion or removal depending on what you need, and the field spell is not only a searcher. Oh man, I'm not even talking about how the Witchcrafter spells can recur themselves, but the lower leveled Witchcrafters all have grave effects, so you can search them up and then just send them right to the graveyard to use that. And then of course, effectively searching out your Witchcrafter spells by setting them as cost for your effects. And then Omni Negate, that can also be a search. Solid addition to the crew. Not sure that this tips it over into being super strong, but the spellcaster pile is starting to come together more and more each month. So maybe I might not be giving it the right amount of credit. So let's keep an eye out for these. This could be scary. The one that I have been getting the aura that is going to be outrageous is this one, the Alistair support cards. I think Invoked finally becomes its own archetype. Let's see how this works with Alistair the Reminiscent, a level 4 dark spellcaster effect monster with 1800 attack and 1000 defense. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. First, if this card is in your hand, you can target a spellcaster or fusion monster on the field. Special summon this card, and if you do it, that monster gains 1000 attack until the end of this turn. And second, if this card is normal or special summoned, or flipped face up, you can banish one invoked monster from your extra deck, add an invocation or spell that mentions it from your deck to your hand. There aren't other cards that have invocation in their deck, at least not that were here beforehand. I guess notably here is that this is not an invoked card, and this is not Alistair the Invoker, so we can't use it as the material for a fusion summon. Banishing an invoked monster from the extra deck. Interesting. Wonder how that's gonna fly. It's also notable that while it's not a quick effect, we can just summon this and then boost a monster by 1000. That's pretty cool. What is that? What's that novelty cup you have there? What's going on? Is this like... That's like... We have the spellbook sigil on this sword thing that Alistair has. What is happening? I was the spirit of the law. The spirit of the law! Dang. Iwas looks maxing compared to last time we saw it. Level 8 Wind Fiend monster, 2000 attack, 2800 defense. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. Firstly, you can banish this card from your hand or field to add an Alistair monster from your deck to your hand. Then, if this effect was activated on the field, immediately after it resolves, you can normal summon a spellcaster monster. So, in hand, it grabs you Alistair, so we don't have to rely on Magical Meltdown. This can do it for us. And if this was on the field, we get to do a free normal summon of him instead of having to spend a regular one. And then second, if a face-up fusion monster or monsters you control are sent to the graveyard except by battle, while this card is in the graveyard, you can special summon this card, then you can fusion summon an invoked monster using monsters from your hand or field as material. So the first effect banishes it, which kind of blows. So I think the idea is that you're trying to use this as fusion material to get it into the graveyard first. And then when the fusion monster goes away, this comes back, and then you do a fusion summon, but not using this. You want to wait, because then you can banish it from the field to immediately get an Alistair. Like that's a lot of hoops to jump through for that. Honestly, I'll just take the in-hand effect. Thankfully there is a way to use this that is not super complicated. Viracom, the Artificial Spirit. Okay. Okay. Level 3 light illusion monster. It adds 1,000 attack and defense. You can only use the first, second, and third effect of this card's name each once per turn. 1. If you have an Alistair monster in your field or graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is special summoned, you can set an invocation or spell card that mentions it from your deck. So there's another way to get the invocation. We have another Alistair, but only if it's special summoned. Third, when your opponent activates a card or effect in response to the activation of your fusion monster's effect, as a quick effect, you can banish this card from the field, and if you do, negate that opponent's effect, and if you do, banish that card. Viracom is the secret magical name of Mary Desty Sturges, one of Aleister Crowley's Scarlet Women he believed were avatars of the goddess Babylon, a key deity in Thelema, which is the religion that he espoused. The real guy, Aleister Crowley. So these cards are like confusing me more than anything. Yada yada yada, illusions. Doesn't have the right effect. Bad, terrible. Failure of a design. All that stuff. These cards are just like not clicking together in a way that I feel the invoked cards should, or at least the way I feel they've been used this entire time. Granted, they has been Alistair specifically, and then all of the little doodads that you would throw in the deck to be material to make invoked fusion monsters. So we can special summon this from the hand if Alistair's in rotation. We get the invocation, or like we'll see a number of spells, I hope, in a bit. And this has to be on the field to be a Omni-Negate banishing. What's it? You want to activate a card or effect in response to the activation of your fusion monster's effect. So it's not like a magical meltdown thing where it helps protect the fusion summoning. It protects the fusion monster activating its effects. Okay. Interesting stuff. Let's see how it pans out. Okay, fusion monster, invoked Surrep. You can't bring the king in yellow into the lore like this. You can't do that. What is happening here? Level 6 light pyro monster, fusion. 1600 attack, 2600 defense, requires any Alistair monster, so we can use Reminiscent. And a fire or wind This is hitting me more than the illusion stuff. Elysium I can get. It's the biggest one. It has to evolve from an existing. I'll get that. Algetties kind of sat outside the prescribed ones. and it worked with like a fusion monster, so it was kind of like another kind of evolution from the standard. But your invoked monsters are the attribute of the attribute material that you use for it, and now you're telling me that we can just make a light monster using a fire or a wind? Okay. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. I'm trying to be normal. I'm trying to be normal. During the main phase, as a quick effect, this is the first effect. You can target a level 6 or lower monster in either graveyard, special summon it to your field in defense position, but its effects are negated. We get to steal. Second, if this card is in your graveyard, you can fusion summon an invoked monster from your extra deck by banishing its material from your field and or graveyard, including this card in the graveyard. So it's an engrave fusion monster that banishes your material, so it's like how Invocation works. In fact, it's exactly how it works, because it makes an invoked, outside of the fact that Invocation can make non-invoked monsters if you only use in-hand material, this only uses field and graveyard, and it makes an invoked this is Invocation. This is the spell card Invocation as a monster. What is the deal here? So we make this, steal a monster, link it off or something, and then fusion summon with it? This only banishes from our grave, so it's not invocation, though. I'm so confused how all this is fitting together. Sarath is a wicked god of the sun, whose name is 1 in Thelemic numerology, adds up to 666, alongside 2 Megatherian and the Hebrew spelling of Crowley's name. Coincidence, I'm sure. Excellent. Invoked Babylon. Whoa, that's the spirit. That's the spirit from earlier. And they got the big dog. The big dog. Level 7 fire illusion monster. Fusion effect, 2450 attack and defense. Interesting choice here. Uses Alistair and a light or earth monster. This is a fire attribute. What's going on here? What are you doing? You can use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. First, if this card is special summoned, you can add a Viricum, the Artificial Spirit, which we've seen, or magical name Rosamundi from your deck to your hand. Then you can banish one monster from either graveyard. Okay, that seems pretty good. More graveyard hate. We get a free card when this is made. That's cool. Second, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target a fusion monster that you control. All face-up monsters your opponent currently controls lose attack equal to that monster's attack until the end of this turn. Great, cool stuff. Babylon is a major key goddess in the religion of Thelema, considered core to the faith, and Crowley believed various women in his life were avatars of her, the Scarlet Women. Babylon herself is based on Babylon the Great, also known as Mother Harlot and the Whore of Babylon. Sick, nasty, cool. We stan. But like we want to get this into the graveyard, so we can use this graveyard effect. But we're using Invocation, which banishes stuff. I guess Iwas Confusion Summon without banishing, so we could use that. Okay, another fusion monster. Invoked Okeanos, level 9 Earth Sea Serpent, 3000 attack and defense. Requires a dark or water monster. Guess what's an Earth attribute? Nothing is real. Nothing is real anymore. It's not... You can only use the third effect of this card's name once per turn. First, your opponent's monsters cannot target monsters for attacks while this card is in the main monster zone, except this one. It's too big, you can only fight this thing. Second, any monster sent to your opponent's graveyard is banished instead while this card is in the extra monster zone. That's interesting. The place we summon it to changes how it functions. So it's either a monster blocker in the main monster zone, or you extra monster zone it to be a macrocosmos for monsters, which is more of a dimensional fissure. And then 3, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target a fusion monster you control. It can attack directly this turn. That's a little silly because some of them can get pretty big. This is probably the tamest by far, but I'm still losing my mind here. Is this thing as big as Elysium? This is a battleship. Okay, Invoke Transcendence Aeon. That is Seymour. This is Seymour from the end of Final Fantasy X. This is Seymour. Spoilers for Final Fantasy X. This is just Seymour. Level 10 Dark Fiend Fusion, 3800 attack, 3200 defense. Requires 2 or more fusion monsters with different attributes. Doesn't matter. It's invoked. We have a bunch of fusion monsters in the graveyard anyway. You only use one of the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn, and only once per turn. First effect: if this card is fusion summoned, you can banish cards from the field and or graveyards up to the number of materials used for this card's summon. Then if you used 3 or more, you can look at your opponent's extra deck and banish up to 3 of them. So this thing says 2, it really means 3. We want to find a way to use 3. Second, as a quick effect, you can declare 1 attribute, and all other face-up monsters currently on the field become that attribute until the end of the turn. I don't know why that matters. I guess we can get it set up for invoked fusions because they all care about attributes, but why are they mutually exclusive? Was it that important that they don't mix? Aeons are a key concept in Thelema, similar to the concept of the Age of Aquarius. Crowley considered the concept so fundamental to the faith that he had 21 the world replaced with Aeon in his tarot decks. He was primarily concerned about the Aeon of Horus, which is a whole other archetype which I'm sure we will never encounter or cross over here, because if we somehow add Horus the Black Flame Dragons level 4, 6, and 8 to the Invoked lore, to Dark Magician, to Dual Terminal, I'm going to lose my mind. Invocation Sword. We have a sword now. Sword time. It's summoning the evil sun person. That's definitely not Nyarlathotep. Quick play spell card. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. Fusion. Summon 1 monster from your extra deck using monsters that you control. If summoning an invoked monster, you can also use banished monsters by returning them to the graveyard. So we banish cards with our new Iwas, and then we can bring them from the banishment back into our graveyard. Okay. Cool. Now things are starting to make sense. Okay, Invocation is going to be listed here in the second one. During your main phase, if this card's in your graveyard, you can target an Alistair monster or an Invocation in your graveyard, shuffle this card into the deck, and if you do, add that card to your hand. This is like super Invocation in a way. That's kind of cool. I'm kind of here for it. This may be a reference to the Sword of Song, a poetry collection by Aleister Crowley. Nifty. New one, Spirit Sword Iwas. We have a second one. So this is still the same sword, right? But that's the Invocation Sword, and this is the Spirit Sword Iwas. Normal spell card. You can only activate 1 card with this card's name per turn. Its effect. Activate 1 of these effects. You cannot declare attacks for the rest of the turn except with fusion monsters. First effect, special summon an Iwas, the Spirit of the Law, from your deck or graveyard. That's super good because we were trying to get it onto the field so we could use its effects to do Alistair nonsense. Second, send to the graveyard or banish an Alistair monster from your deck. So this, by banishing it, it lets Invocation Sword function, or we send it to the graveyard so that we can banish it with Invocation for a fusion. Sounds good. In fact, now that I think about it, it's pretty cool that Invocation can banish cards from our graveyard, and then Sword can fusion summon it by bringing the materials back, so got a little bit of a loop going on here. And then the third version, look at 3 random face-down cards in your opponent's extra deck and banish 1 of them. You can play this, I guess the drawback is that you can only attack with fusion monsters, so you can't play it in everything, but if you weren't going to attack, it wouldn't matter anyway, so you just get to mess with your opponent's extra deck. Notably, this is a spell card that does not mention Invocation, so we will not be able to search this out with our previous effects, but because it gets Iwas, the Spirit of the Law, we will be getting an Alistair that we can then normal summon for free, and that will get us base Invocation. Are we all clear on this? Notably, we are banishing it, so what's the one that requires the wind material? It is Sarath, so we can use that as material with the sword to make it. Okay, cool. Trap card, magical name Rosamundi. Okay, so that's the other search thing we can get from our fusion monster. The big lion. So who is this? Who is this that's just kind of like cradling Alistair? What's happening here? Huh? Wait, where did this come from? You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. First, banish an Alistair monster or a fusion monster from your graveyard to special summon an invoked monster from your extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions, but banish it during the end phase. If any number of monsters become banished face up while this card is in your graveyard, you can banish this card, then target one of your banished invoked monsters and special summon it. So, what? We set this, banish one of the requisite monsters, and we bring out Invoked Elysium is an invoked monster, right? Yeah. And it does have a summoning condition, but we get to ignore that with this. So what, we get to summon Elysium, and then it's banished during the end phase, but its quick effect lets us banish it, or target itself to banish it and all monsters your opponent controls with the same attribute as that monster, and I'll have all of them. So it's a board wipe. This is a board wipe. This is a banishing monster board wipe in a trap card. And because these effects are not mutually exclusive, when you banish it, you get one of your invoked monsters back into rotation. Rosamundi is the name of one of 3 collections of poetry written by Crowley that were dedicated to his wife, Rose Edith Kelly. The kanji of the name reads, "The birth of a new world." We are unsure as how to localize this name meaningfully, as the previous 2 Mahome cards were magical name 2 Megatherion, Omega Summon, and magical name Baphomet, Alpha Summon. Interestingly, both names were Crowley's names in magical circles, I believe at the AA and the OTO respectively. Notably, due to current TCG decisions, magical name at this time cannot be made into a searchable theme name string. And then we have an alternate artwork for Artemis. Pretty cool. I don't know how I feel about these. I am far too confused as to what we are trying to accomplish with these new cards. The sword is cool in regards to how our regular invocation stuff works. Notably, this part just lets us use monsters we control as fusion material, so this is also a way to do generic fusion summons. And it recycles, so that's kind of cool. I don't know. It's cool that we have more invoked / Alistair cards. I just wish that they did more. I don't know. Oh, I guess it is also cool that the Link monster for Alistair only counts as Alistair while on the field and in the graveyard, but when you banish it, it no longer becomes something that Invocation can get back for us, but by using the sword, we can put that Link Alistair back in our graveyard so we can use it as material for banishing invocations later. What do you all think? Am I missing anything with all of these? I feel like we're doing a lot of stuff here and not a lot of actions. Cool effects, but nothing blowing me away right now. Okay, let's talk some singles. We've got some free agents here, and by free agents, I mean specific individual support for established themes, starting with Superconducting Scintillation Plasma Blast, a quick play spell card that you can only activate 1 copy of per turn. It activates the effect based on whose turn it is. If it's yours, place a Thunder or Rock monster from your deck on top of your deck. Then if you have a Thunder or Rock monster on the field or in your graveyard, you can destroy 1 card on the field. If it's your opponent's turn, add a Thunder or Rock monster from your field, grave, or banishment to your hand, or if any number of monsters were destroyed by battle or card effect this turn, you can add from your deck instead. Well, if you're playing an Adamancipator deck, this is mana from heaven. You just get to put those whatever rock monster you want to summon off of your excavations right on top of your deck. And then pop a card, right? Because if you already have the Rock or Thunder in rotation, you just get to kill something. And then if it's your opponent's turn, you just get to search a card out. This is pretty good. Very solid stuff. I'm not sure how this works in Magnet Warriors beyond just being a nifty card you can grab, but here you go. Magnets. Power Patron Counterattack. Folks, I am so sorry to be so behind on the lore. It's like my thing. I love it. I'm working on it. Keep an eye out. I've got something. I got something cooking. I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil it. But I'm working on it. First up, our new wave of Power Patron Medius era cards starts out with June Pride Elfnote. Was spoiled on the name, but I'm very happy that I was. Folks, I'm glad that our gay elves continue to be very, very gay. It's a light spellcaster synchro monster with 3100 attack and 1800 defense, requiring a tuner and one spellcaster non-tuner monster. This is fantastic because it is level 10, which is kind of an important level for the level 6 deck, so as long as we can get a level 4 tuner into rotation, and, you know, there's an abundance of good ones of those nowadays. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. First effect, neither player can declare attacks with monsters not in the center monster zone while this card is in the center monster zone. So this is only center monster zone monsters attack while it's in that zone. So it's important that on your turn you get it moved out of there so you can attack with everything and then move it back there during your opponent's turn. Second, during the main phase, if this card is in the center main monster zone as a quick effect, you can return it to the extra deck, and if you do, special summon up to one Elfnote monster each from your hand, deck, and or graveyard, so it can tag out. Okay, so that's a way to get it out of the main monster zone for sure. Just turn it into other ones, which will give you more damage than this by itself, because all of the other ones are at least 2,000. But notably, it summons Elfnote monsters, so we can also get Power Patron, which is good. Notably, those are the materials to make Junora, right? As long as you have Strelitzia on board, you reduce all their levels by 3, so they become 3/3/1. All the ones that are level 4 or higher get reduced, so you have 2 level 3s and a level 1, so that's, what, 3, 6, yeah, 7. And then when you use the Power Patron Elfnote's Quick Sync, it increases the level of the center monster zone monster by 3. That makes 10. Boom, you have Quick Effect Junora, negate your opponent's entire field. So that's something, I guess. I don't know. Elfnotes are apparently good, but I can't. I just might be behind the times, but they're very complicated, and my tiny pea brain is not functioning with how they're operating. Okay, now we have a Link monster. He did Pendulum last set. Now we're doing Link monsters here. We went Fusion, Xyz, Synchro, the ladder order on those two. What is Power Patron Envoy of Pure Prayers? We've got the eye, the big eye sigil that keeps showing up. We have those little painted wings. Is this Medius or something more sinister? I guess it's a Dark Fairy, so that's Medius' typing. Requires any 2 non-Link monsters as material. Very generic. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. First, if this card is Link summoned and you have a Power Patron monster in your graveyard, you can add a Theorealize card from your deck to your hand. That's pretty good. The Theorealizes do some nasty nonsense. Notably, too, because it checks for a Power Patron in your graveyard, it means that you want to avoid using the Pendulum Power Patrons as material for this. So that lends credence to this being Medius, because, you know, they'd be opposed forces. They're kind of using his body to try and manifest into the real world. Hopefully this means that it's checking like, hey, we're trying to use the Power Patrons that are not from the Beyond Realm. Second, during the main phase, if you control another Dark Fairy monster, you can, as a quick effect, immediately after this effect resolves, Link summon using monsters you control, including this card. So we want to Link Climb, and another Dark Fairy monster would be Medius. So, okay. Notably, it has 300 attack, so that's the Power Patron attack stat, so maybe it's also just like a 4th Power Patron. So far, we're not seeing another faction here, so I don't know how else we could explain adding new characters aside from just bringing in a whole other faction. This is everyone fighting that conglomeration of the 4 Power Patrons brought through the Veil. This is Dead End Power Patron Realm. Viraya, a quick play spell card. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. First effect, show a Nerva, the power patron of creation, a Jupiter, the power patron of destruction, and a Junor, the power patron of tuning from your extra deck, face up, field, and or graveyard, and if you do, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to the activation of your power patron monster effects this turn. Second, if you would banish the top cards of your deck to activate the effect of a power patron monster you control, you can banish this card from your grave instead. Okay, so that's pretty nice. One of the big drawbacks for using the Pendulum Power Patrons is that you do have to tune Kingdom yourself whenever you do it. You blast them, or they get blasted. You banish the top three. Hey, Moby, how's it going? How's it going, buddy? Moby's coming to say hi while I'm ranting about Power Patrons. So you'd have to give up some random cards. Face down banishment too. That's no one likes that. So playing this allows you to bypass that, which is pretty good because it's a full-on summon. Like if you bring out Nerva, it counts as a fusion summon. If you bring out Jupiter, it counts as an Xyz summon. Not that you'd want to do that, because then you'd have to find a way to get material under it for it to do stuff, which I... Yeah, because it needs an Xyz monster under it for it to be 6,000 attack. Junor is, of course, probably the strongest of them. But yeah, so you get to play this, keep your opponent from responding, and then you could use a Power Patron effect to summon out your extra deck ones. Use this to substitute the cost, and then they can't respond to it because you have this in play. This is fine. This sounds weird, revealing 3 ridiculously powerful monsters that are difficult to field without outside help, but because we can reveal them from a variety of places, I actually don't think this is that difficult to pull off. Pastoral Theorealize. More Theorealize! Medius is just kind of chilling out. While it looks like Finmel gets to take on the burden of being a Power Patron vessel. You can only use one of the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn, and only once that turn. First effect, if you control an Archmage, Doomsy, or Elfnote card, monster, spell, trap, any of that, special summon a Medius the Pure from your hand or deck. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when it is summoned. So that means they won't be able to respond when Medius summons out a Power Patron. Second, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target a Fusion, Synchro, or Xyz monster in your graveyard, and special summon it to your zone. A Link monster points to which we... Oh, that's actually kind of silly. So yeah, Medius gets a Power Patron, and then no matter... No, actually he can't do that, because all the Power Patrons that he grabs all say that you can't... You can only do like Fusion, Synchro, or Xyz depending on the one that you summon. So you actually can't Link summon with those using his effect alone. So you would have to use their effects to summon out an additional monster to get them off the field, and then use Medius' own effect to bring it back? Well, however it gets used, this is a way to summon out any of these extra deck monster types, as long as you are also playing with Link monsters. So it's kind of like World Legacy. Oh, there's a World Legacy card that summons from the graveyard. It's like Monster Reborn, but to Link points. Okay. It's good that we have a Theorealize card that lets Medius join in on the action when you're playing any of these themes. Unfortunately, it's not a monster, so as far as domain goes, these are not going to give you any domains. But we'll see what happens in the future. We'll see what we can spice things up with. Next up is Power Patron Shadows of the End Times. The Graflair is going at it. Who are they even shooting at in that picture? I can barely tell. It's a normal trap card. You can activate one card with this card's name per turn. Its effect special summons a Power Patron monster from your hand, face up extra deck, or graveyard. Then you can apply this effect in sequence based on the number of monster card types that you control. If you control, and this is between Fusion, Synchro, and Xyz. If it's one or more, banish the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck face down, like the Power Patrons do for you. If you have control 2 or more, Moby, please. Moby, please. You have to get your butt out of the microphone. You're ruining the integrity of the shoot, buddy. You're too cute. If you have 2 or more, banish a card your opponent controls face down. And third, banish a random card from your opponent's hand face down, coming from the fact that you have 3 of those different monster types in rotation. Okay. It checks for ones you control, so they can't just be anywhere but the field, but this can bring them back from the graveyard. Remember, the pendulum monsters that are shadows of the original power patrons do summon out their original copies as their appropriate summoning method, so you can just bring them back out with this. Next up is Elfnote's Quatrain of Succession. Quatrain, because now there's 4 of them. Yay, they're a family. Continuous trap card. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. First effect, the monster in your center main monster zone cannot be banished by your opponent's card effects. Alright, that's fine. Second, you can send one other spell or trap card from your hand or field to the graveyard and declare a level from 1 to 4. Special summon an Elfnote Seraphim token, which is a plant tuner, fire attribute, with attack and defense of 0, with that level that you chose. You cannot special summon from the extra deck with that while that token is on the field except Elfnote monsters. Okay, so this is actually outrageous. So our good friend, the Blondie, puts our Elfnote continuous trap cards onto the field face up. So what you can do is special summon Blondie, use her effect to put Quatrain of Succession on the board. Pitch a spell or trap card from your hand or field, and then, declare the level. We can't send Quatrain of Succession itself, can we? It says one other. It literally says one other, so we can't do that. I'm going to burn that out of my mind. So as long as we can do that, we can make the level 4 plant tuner. That's our tuner. Blondie is our tuner monster, so we make June Pride. This means that we have a Elfnote monster in our graveyard from the sink, and then we'll have Elfnote monsters in our deck, presumably. So as long as we have an Elfnote monster in our hand, our Synchro monster can tag out into 3 other Elfnotes, and then you're off to the races. That's pretty funky. Interesting cards. I like how some of them function together, and I am so curious to see how we're incorporating links into all of this, because so many of these archetypes and the power patrons are so phobic to all like the other monster summoning types. I don't know how this works together. Okay, V-Jump card, Ilios, the Black Sun Dragon, level 4 Dark Dragon. What do? 1500 attack, 0 defense. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. First, you can reveal 3 dragon monsters in your extra deck with 3,000 or more attack and different names. Special summon this card from your hand. Shouldn't be difficult. Second, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target a Dragon Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link monster that you control. Your opponent cannot target it with card effects this turn. Neither player can activate cards or effects in response to this effect's activation. So we want to summon this for free from our hand and then use it as material for the summon of a dragon, at which point it gains a little bit of protection. Though we want to make sure that we avoid dragons that have on-summon effects, because neither player can activate cards or effects in response to this effect's activation. Though I guess it is a chain block, right? Because it's only this effect's activation. So as long as you put your monsters on summon effect first on the chain, you then put Ilios second, and then no one can do anything to respond, so it closes things out. That's okay, I guess. Invest enough in dragons, you get a free material body, and then you can use it to chain block stuff. I've seen worse. Protective Stone Gardening. This is a continuous trap card. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. First effect, while you have 5 cards in your spell and trap zone, any battle damage either player takes is halved. Also, once per turn, you can activate one continuous trap card the turn that it was set. Second effect, during the standby phase, you can reveal 5 continuous trap cards with different names in your deck. Your opponent randomly picks 1 for you to set. Also shuffle the rest back into the deck. Goodbye, friend. I'll see you in the future. So you have to have a full back row to get your quick activation of continuous trap cards. And presumably we're talking about continuous trap card monsters so that we can get them out of the zone so that we can put more continuous trap cards into our back row. Does that help function that way? I'm not sure. I think that's the only deck that this really runs into. I can't imagine another deck being continuous trap card turbo in a similar way. So, I don't know. I guess it is kind of cool that it works during every standby phase, so we will make sure that we get to get a new card. And like, you have to reveal 5 of them every time you do it, so I do think it has to be trap monster decks that run this, because you need a high concentration to utilize this card. Oh my trap hole. Oh no. Normal trap card. When a monster effect is activated on your opponent's field during the turn they special summoned a monster, destroy the monster that activated that effect, then destroy all opponent's cards in its adjacent monster zone and spell and trap zones if any. Gee whiz. Okay. So it's Springans again. We're doing Springans X Blower if we tied it to Trap Trick's Trap Hole Nightmare? Is that the right one that I'm thinking of? The one that negates the turn a special summon monster activates its effect the turn it was summoned? Seems fun. Seems fun. Just randomly blows up cards, randomly blows up other monsters. It's a neat, fun additional card. A Gray Layer. This looks like a Gradius card if ever there was one, and it is a level 4 light machine with 1200 attack and 1000 defense, so there it is. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. First effect, you contribute this card and reveal a machine monster in your hand. Add a machine monster from your deck to your hand with a different attribute than the revealed monster. Then, if it had 1200 attack or less, you can special summon a machine monster from your hand. Second, if your monster is destroyed by a card effect while this card is in your graveyard, you can banish this card to destroy one card on the field. Aren't all of these light attribute? Why are you asking for a different attribute than the revealed monster? Are we trying to... Oh. You tribute Gray Layer. You reveal a BES in your hand, because they have all kinds of different attributes. You get your machine, and if it's low enough, you can special summon any machine monsters from your hand. So maybe you do special summon one of the BESs, or you get a Gradius. Oh, my God. This is silly. This is silly. And then it has a retaliatory effect. Pretty fun. Pretty fun card, I think. Lane Restriction. Normal trap, or continuous trap card, my apologies. When this card resolves, you can special summon one of your banished monsters to your rightmost main monster zone. And then 2, if your opponent normal or special summons a monster to their main monster zone, they must use the leftmost usable zone. What? What? So I think when this was going around, people were saying that this was like S-Force support, and I really think that it is. There are a few cards that banish their own cards, so this can bring them back, and because... and because it forces them to summon in a particular way, we've taken away our opponent's ability to choose what zones they go to, so we can kind of load up... because we're putting in our most right main monster zone, right? Well, if you're sitting across from me right here, my rightmost zone is your leftmost zone. So I'm already putting something right there. So you got to keep filing from there. And the S-Force monsters have effects that apply restrictions to any monster in the same column as an S-Force monster, and they kind of stack. So we're going to keep summoning monsters out here. You're going to have to keep summoning monsters in that pile, as long as you put it in the main monster zone, of course. This has no bearing on what you do with the extra monster zone. This card's so funny. This card's really funny. I love to see it. This is great. It doesn't actually affect the board state in any meaningful way, but it does increase the effectiveness of your S-Forces by making your opponent play them into your columns. That is so funny. I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan. Thank you. Okay. Summer, Last year, we got the Spring Field Spell card. I completely forget what it was, but it kicked off the custom cards that I was running for the channel, where we were going to do one for each season, and we never got a follow-up, but now we have summer, so maybe we'll get to see more of this. I completely forget what spring does. But what does summer do? First, once per turn, you can place season counters on this card equal to the number of your opponent's unused main monster zones, so delicious. More counters. Second, once per turn, when your monster declares an attack, you can inflict 400 damage to your opponent for each season counter on this card, and spring in your graveyard. Attack 400 for each season counter on this card, and spring in your graveyard. So each spring in your graveyard is an additional counter towards this effectively. Third, once per turn, during your opponent's end phase, you can place one field spell that you can place a season counter on from your hand or deck face up on your field, and if you do, place this card's season counters on it, but neither player can activate its effects this turn. Okay, I gotta bring it up. I gotta remember what spring does. I need to know. Let's check this out really quick, folks. So once per turn, you can choose any number of your unused main monster zones, and if you do, place that number of season counters on this card. Also, those zones cannot be used while this card is on the field. Monsters you control gain 400 attack for each season counter on this card. Once per turn during your opponent's end phase, you can take a field spell from your deck that you can place season counters on and place it face up on the field, but neither player can activate its effects this turn. Not that it matters because it's during your opponent's end phase, so we are about to change it. And if you do, place all season counters on it. So if you used spring... Well, actually, let's not do that. Let's not use that. Let's start with summer, actually. Because if we go, like, turn 1, summer, ping all of your unused monster zones, that's 5 season counters on this card. We're not attacking if we're going first. But if it survives till your opponent's end phase, swap that out for a spring... It'll have 5 counters on it. 5 times 4 is 2,000 attack per monster. Per monster. That's way more than 400 damage on your attack. That's a huge increase. Now that is, of course, magical Christmas land thinking. There is no way in hell this actually resolves the way you want it to, but it is funny to think about. So. Looking for a wacky deck, keep an eye out on that. Fade into the Night with Ray Rage the Twilight Fiend from Chaos Origin. It is a level 3 dragon pendulum monster with 1,000 attack and 1,500 defense with a pendulum scale of 1. You can only use the pendulum effect of this card's name once per turn, which is if a pendulum monster or monsters you control would be destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can destroy this card instead of one of those monsters. So pop it, goes to the face-up extra deck, keep that monster safe. You can only use the first and second monster effect of this card's name once per turn. First, if this card is in your hand, you can target one pendulum monster that you control. Place it in your pendulum zone, but it cannot activate its pendulum effects this turn, and if you do, special summon this card from your hand. Second, as a quick effect, you can tribute this card, then target one card in your pendulum zone. It cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects this turn. So, no matter what, we have ways of keeping our pendulum monsters safe, whether it be in the pendulum zone or on the field. Okay, that's fine. We can keep notably bringing this back with pendulum summoning, so we can keep, or at least one of our scales safe. It's fine. It's a fine little card. I don't know if it is useful in any combo in particular, so I don't know if it'll have a home in anything, but it's nifty all the same. Glitch Clutch Null Gainer. Chaos Origins is a level 8 dark psychic synchro monster with 0 attack and 2,000 defense, requiring generic material. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. First, if this card is synchro summoned, you can add a level 8 or higher monster with 0 attack from your deck to your hand. You can target one monster in your graveyard with 0 attack and special summon it, but its effects are negated. Also, it cannot be used as material for a fusion, synchro, Xyz, or link summon. So we didn't summon a level 8 monster to get another level 8 monster to overlay. What are some... Hold on. Yu-Gi-Oh! Card database. Let's check this out. What are some level 8 or higher monsters? So it's level 8 or higher. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And it's got 0 attack. And 0 attack. And we're also excluding Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, and Link monsters, because we can't search any of those. Search. There are 49 targets in the TCG so far, which means it would be way too much to sit here and try to path out with you right now. So we're not going to right now. I suggest looking it up yourself. A cursory glance at this list is showing nothing of particular value. Oh, level 8 higher. We had a thing with it. You know, I looked it up myself. Sorry, Hyperlink, you were too slow. Very edgelord though. Very soul hackers. Okay, Astralasma Urania. This is a level 7 light thunder effect monster with 2400 attack and 1000 defense. Ooh, Monarch stats. Kinda one level too much. A little bit breaking with tradition on this one. You can only special summon with the first effect of this card's name once per turn, and you can only use the second and third effect of this card's name each once per turn. Firstly, you can special summon this card from your hand by returning up to 2 monsters you control to the hand. Would have been very useful for a particular domain deck that I'm building, but it wouldn't fit in the domain, so it doesn't matter. Second, if this card is special summoned, you can reveal any number of monsters in your hand with different levels, then target that many face-up cards your opponent controls and negate their effects. And then third, if this card on the field is destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can add this card to your hand, so you get it back. How are we special summoning this card from our hand to then trigger that? I don't know. I am at a loss. Though it's special summon from anywhere, so it doesn't just have to be from the hand. I think the 2400 attack, 1000 defense stat line is making me think tribute summon, but that's not the case here. Blitzclick. Oh, it's a Blitzclick card. It's a Blitzclick support card. They do a whole bunch of summoning thunders from hand in general, and they're all different levels. It's a Blitzclick card. It's a card for Blitzclick. It's a Blitzclick card. It puts the monsters back into our hands so we can reuse their effect later. This is a Blitzclick card. That special summons it. I completely forgot about that. This will special summon itself, so it had a way to do it the entire time, but we didn't have to worry about that because it's a Blitzclick card. It is a card for Blitzclick. And if it's destroyed, so we can pop it and it goes back into our hands. So we use it because it's a Blitzclick card. It is made to go in that deck. Good for them. Glad I noticed that. I'm very up to date on all of this. Very good stuff because they're Blitzclick. Let's check out Zena no Tsunagi Hime. A Link 5 Dark Machine Link monster with 0 attack. Hey, 0 attack. Not what we nothing to do with our Psychic Synchro guy though, because we this has no level. Wait, no, it can summon any monster though, not just target one monster with graveyard with 0 attack, but it'll summon it. But its effects are negated, so it doesn't matter. So it could summon this, but it's not going to do anything. Okay, so it's a left, bottom, right, right. So it's just all of the bottom half arrows. And it requires 2+ effect monsters. So you can, if you find the right Link monsters, you can just mash them together here and use minimal material. You can also use one monster in your hand as material to Link summon this card. Oh, so you can just do 2 Link 2s in a card in your hand. Great way to just discard a card. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. First, if this card is Link summoned, you can send a monster from your deck to the graveyard, or if this card was Link summoned using only monsters that you controlled, you can send a monster from your extra deck instead. That's not something to be taken lightly. Being able to send from the extra deck, no strings attached, pretty good. There's a lot of monsters that work a lot better in the graveyard than in the extra deck. and skipping that process is a big boon. And then second effect, during your next standby phase, after this card was sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add one monster from your graveyard to your hand. So it could be this, it could be one of the monsters sent. I guess my big question is, are you comfortable investing all of those cards into a effectively dead end to make a Foolish Burial? Maybe. There's a lot of good graveyard themes out there, so this could do something. I'm not confident. I'm not sure what this gets played in, but it's a tool. Next up, we have Spiritual Power Recovery Potion. We are doing more Witchcrafter, Charmer stuff. More Charmer stuff. This card is always treated as a possessed card, so it works with all of our possessed searchers, which is good. You can only use one of the first and second effect of this card's name per turn, and only once per turn. So the first effect banishes any number of spellcaster monsters and or spell cards from your graveyard. All face-up monsters you currently control gain 200 attack for each card banished, and you gain 400 life points for each card banished. It doesn't say until the end of the turn, so these buffs are permanent, and because we are changing attack values, we can use this during the damage step. Second, during your main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon any number of spellcaster monsters with different attributes from your hand. It gets them out of your hand so you can use them as material for stuff. That's pretty good. Even if you're just summoning one, that's fine. I guess what helps here is that it summons spellcaster monsters, not just charmers or familiar possessed monsters. So we can get some high-level spellcasters out of our hand. This may be useful for some kind of Witchcrafter crossover, because they have a good way of recovering their banished Witchcrafters. Jury's out. Jury's out on this one. I'm not sure. Okay, last one. Toot It with the Flute of Guiding Dragon, a frame break card. Boy, I have not seen these cards in a while. Flute of Guiding Dragon, normal spell card. If a spellcaster monster is on the field, special summon a level 5 or higher dragon monster from your deck. Then if your opponent controls 2 or more monsters, you can special summon a second monster with the same name from your deck. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn except dragon and spellcaster monsters. And second, during your main phase 2, if this card is in your graveyard because it was sent there this turn, you can banish it to draw a card. Okay. So the spellcaster monster in question here is Lord of D, but it can be any spellcaster monster, and the level 5 or higher one is Blue Eyes, especially with the focus on you being able to summon another monster of the same name. The dragon and spellcaster restriction shouldn't be too much of a problem. The decks are pretty geared towards a singular type. And while the Lord of D probably isn't going to be played in your Blue Eyes deck if you're playing competitively, we do have all of those Eyes of Blue monsters. So it's actually not that strange to think that this could see play. It's a +1. Like, it summons from deck potentially 2 different monsters. They'd be the same level if they're both Blue Eyes, so you just get to overlay them for your rank 8, or you get to make a level 9 synchro monster with your Eyes of Blue monster. And then it's a draw. You go to your main phase 2, it's an additional draw. I guess this also means that, like, did they make it main phase 2 just so that you couldn't get a free draw during, like, if you were going first and you didn't have a battle phase? That seems funny. It's a funny idea. Oh, they're dootin'. Oh, look at him dootin'. Oh. I'm sorry, I'm a dunce cap. It's not two. It's not summon a second one. It's 2 or more. No, wait, no, never mind. I'm getting these actually flipped. The condition is if your opponent controls 2 or more monsters, then you special summon a second monster. So it is just 2. My bad. I thought for some reason, or not some reason, the idea of the 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons made me think this card was more powerful than it was. It's also not likely that your opponent is going to have 2 or more monsters if you go first, so there's a restriction on that end and that end. We're only going to get 1. But if we just get one Blue Eyes and we have one of our Spellcaster Tuner monsters, level 9 Synchro ain't half bad. Okay, that covers all the cards that we have not talked about so far, and we are up to date. God, the Witchcrafter cards are cool. The Alistair ones confuse me. The Power Patron ones are kind of cool. I don't know how else to recap any of this. Let me know what I've missed in the comments below. There's a lot of cards. There's clearly something that I might have gone over my head. Let me know what I'm missing. What makes these cards a powerhouse? I want to know about it so that I can help send that information back out into the world when we talk about these cards later. Thank you all so much for watching and for your patience. And until the next time, Konami drops some juicy spoilers. I'll see all of you next time. Bye-bye. Today's episode is brought to you by Dragon Shield. Get the sleeves as strong as dragon scales and save 5% on your order by using the coupon code GoldenNova at checkout while helping out the channel. It was also brought to you by my lovely patrons, including this month's illustrious Quasar Commanders, Upstairs Media and the Critic of Innocence, Nebula Navigators, 3rd Dynasty, Ada Basilisk, Adam Zajdel, Ancient Wizard, Andrew Newman, Battle Axe, Beastsman, Charlie Mercury, Chibi Gohan, Christopher Fuss, Clockswork, Comrade Eric, Frankie, Great Big Pillock, Groog, Hairbear, Harry the Ominous Benefactor, Iron Zero, Iskander 711, Carp, Marion James E. Picata, Meme King, Muse Clark, Orozco 09096, Panther J, Pat Poos, Rebel King Lucifer, Red Eyes Jackalow, RJ the Jank Monarch, That One Dumbass and the Wizard Moose, Cosmic Crusaders Animasta, Anthorak, a Random Pup, Blitzwolf, Chaz Ghost, Christopher Fuss, again, Cool Trainer Dark, Dr. Entity, RIP, Eki Bullock, Eva Padilla, Herbal D, Inblink, J.A. Flair, Julian Marquez, Kale the Dragon, Kryptonian Blurred, Lobomaru 02, Manga Pages, Millennia Asta, Mr. Machina, Natia Lee Alexander, Neon Yaminair, Nicholas Murphy, Not Al Gore, Obsidian, Rhyme Kairos, Rogue Wolf, Seraph SG, Shizuka Nijimura, Simic Toadstool, Sonic 21 Blast, Stepfen Huntsman, the Legendary Raven, the Queen of Time, Tiger X2476, Tristan O'Meara, Zadine, Zaldreka, Yazuz 1, Zephyrath, the Rock Thing, and Zentha, as well as all the lovely Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. If you'd like to help me in my journey to cover all of Yu-Gi-Oh's archetypes, get my videos early, be a part of these credits and other awesome perks, it would mean the world to me if you would check out the link to my Patreon in the description or consider joining as a YouTube member.